What is up, everyone? It's Jim Alexander here with Believe in Bucks, and I'm joined by my special guest from 48 Minutes on Believe, Ross Geiger. Ross, what's going on? Thanks for joining.
How's it going, Jim? Happy to be here and very excited to be just a week away from the NBA season starting.
It's kind of wild. Ross, it's crazy this year. It's going to be so different because, like, you're seeing ads at, like, ooh, and Amazon's doing a
Oh,
big debut. NBC's doing it. Like, we're so used to, TNT to knock it out to start off the season, and then ESPN, and it's going to be all over NBA. You're going to have to scramble different streamers and networks to see it. Do you like it or no? Like, how do you feel about this big shift in broadcasting?
yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I understand why they did it. They're following the money here, and there was a lot of big bucks being thrown around for the rights to each day in these games for those specific days. But yeah, I wish it would have stayed the same. I was always a huge fan of the TNT Tuesdays, Thursdays, ESPN Wednesdays, Saturdays, and I'm
Yeah.
very routine based, so it's going to really throw me off my routine. But the one thing I will say to fans like myself that are a little worried about this is just get NBA League Pass and you won't have to worry about much of this because you'll still have access to these games if you buy the League Pass. So if there's ever a year to buy it, I think this might be the year.
I think you're right. I don't even know. Honestly, I just found out today it's on Amazon starts on Friday, which used to be like an ESPN night. And then
Yep.
NBC, I think, is going to get to Tuesday, which was also usually a TNT night. Yeah, you mentioned that schedule. We knew what nights, what to expect, and now it's just so all over the place on different streamers. I don't know. People are going to have access to certain ones. There's going to be some games on Peacock too and
Yeah.
NBC. So it's going to be confusing for a lot of fans to get adjusted to it, especially early on, and the rhythm, especially since TNT and ESPN had it for so many years.
Yeah, totally. And even with League Pass, I mean, even though that's like kind of the easiest way to make sure you can access every game, they no longer are offering that on like YouTube TV, for instance. You have to buy it just through the NBA.com app. So they've
Hmm.
kind of limited the ways that you could even purchase League Pass moving forward. So lots of changes, but I'm sure within like the first couple of weeks, we'll have it all figured out. At least the diehard NBA fans like yourself and I think.
Yeah.
It'll just take us a couple weeks and then we'll be in the groove.
I think you're right. And you know what? I mean, we're going to miss, the TNT crew. I don't know how ESPN's going to do with them. I don't have much confidence, honestly, because they're
No,
going
me
to kind of
neither.
use them seasonally or just like part-time. I don't trust ESPN's really. They've never hit it well with personalities. I mean, they've always had a problem with getting the right crew for the finals. I mean, they ruined the good thing with Mark Jackson, Mike Breen, and Jeff Van Gundy, and it's always, I don't like their studio shows really. I spoke to your teammate here, Bruce,
Oh, yes.
recently, so he's got the inside knowledge on
He's
how
the
to do the
expert.
production
Yeah.
part. But I'm not the biggest fan of ESPN, what they've done. So maybe these new crews sort of find their way too. We're going to see some familiar faces from TNT also, I think, on NBC and all, but it'll be interesting to see something. I think Amazon's got Dirk and it's got some big names
Yeah.
too.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's going to be fun to kind of see some of this new talent that's emerging because of the many networks that are now involved. And like you mentioned, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash is getting
Yeah.
involved. Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady called the Bucks game the other night against the champs visiting Milwaukee. I believe that was last night.
Mhm.
So kind of exciting to see some of these familiar faces step up and be part of the media role now and kind of see what they can bring to the table, right? Because you never know. Some guys are really good at it, providing perspective from the sidelines, and others who might have been great on the floor as players really struggle with,
Right.
being a broadcaster. So I'm kind of just curious to see which guys are able to work out the kinks and which ones just really aren't made for the role.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. We're gonna find out if they can step it up on the broadcasting the way they did it on the court. You mentioned the Bucks. We're gonna start out with on this pod, we go through all sorts of things about the Bucks. Your
I love it.
partner Bruce and I kind of went over what we didn't like about him, but I want to ask you something that's been kind of brewing over the last week with Giannis talking about sort of moving to Greece. I think that's been a thing that's been sort of news making that he's pretty settled. Apparently, his wife and kids are going to make an earlier move to Greece, and this whole thing about where is he going to end up, and is he going to get traded, and where would he stay long term? He might not be long term in the NBA, Ross. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think that was really notable, and I don't know if it's getting that much play as it should.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any reason to hit the panic button just yet. I think long term, that's always been the dream and goal of his is to have a successful NBA career and then move back to Greece once his playing days were done. He did mention in his most recent comments on that you're referring to that,
Mhm.
he'd probably play another 8 or 9 years and then potentially retire playing a year or two with a Greek pro team. So I think there's still plenty of great Greek Freak years ahead of him, whether it be in Milwaukee or elsewhere. I'm hoping it's Milwaukee. But I don't think it's a short-term concern by any means as far as us fans, as NBA people. He's not going anywhere. I think he's not foolish. Like he understands the money's here. This is where his fame is, and I think uh, I think just long term, like being like in the next like 10, 12 years, yeah, he might make the move back there. But I think that's always been in the cards for Giannis, and I'm sure that's
Mhm.
something him and his wife had discussed because seems like they're getting an early, as you mentioned, an early jump on that with having the kids there from what the reports are saying.
Yeah. For those that know, you do have somewhat of a relationship with Giannis
Yeah,
and had a personal thing. Can you explain to the audience for those that are tuning into this podcast?
sure.
Bucks fans are listening all over. Ross has got some personal sort of connection to Giannis.
Yeah, so I'm a former NBA video coordinator. I spent my first 4 years as a video guy with the Milwaukee Bucks, and so my fourth and entering my fourth and final year with the team. I was part of the Giannis draft process and was one of the first people. Might have been the first. You'd have to ask Jonathan Givony of ESPN if it's true or not. But
Mhm.
Givony gave me the Giannis tapes very early on in the summer. I want to say like late April, right after we had been bounced from the regular season. And I was the first one to kind of get those tapes, convert them to a DVD that we were able to, run through a computer so that I could chop the game up for the coaching staff and for our front office. And yeah, I was one of the first to get the early look at the Giannis Greek league tapes from the amateur leagues back there, and was able to obviously hand deliver them to the front office, John Hammond, and John was always great. What'd you think? Did you see anything? I'm like I saw a lot. I mean, this is a raw kid that has an extremely high ceiling, and
Yes.
he's got a lot of talent that you don't see from a guy his size. And obviously, we knew or I had a feeling he was probably going to grow quite a bit because he was only 6'9" and still had lengthy arms, lengthy legs, and looked like he hadn't fully filled out or grown. So I got to get involved early in the draft process, and then once it ended up that he was going to be available for us in the first round, and
Hmm.
we drafted him. I mean, I remember John Hammond after draft night pulling me aside and being like, "Hey, how crazy is it that we got those tapes over 2 months ago. We got him, like we got our guy," and he's like, we're going to need a lot of help with him because he's never been to America before. And, I'm hoping that you can help out with that because the year prior we had drafted Deron Lamb out of the University of Kentucky in the
That's
second
right.
round. And he didn't have a driver's license when he joined the Bucks. So I started driving Deron Lamb around for most of the first half of the season that he was with the team. And he lived in the same apartment building that I did. So I kind of did that for Deron Lamb the year before, which was kind of like the preparation for what was to come, and
Uh-huh.
it was gonna be much different. But yeah, I kind of had the same thing with Giannis. I mean, I met Giannis. The Bucks put me in a limo when he was first coming to Milwaukee, and I was in the limo. It took me down to O'Hare to pick him up from international rivals, and that was the first time I met him. And then through the course of taking him to and from practices or any type of meet and greets, things of that nature. We had plenty of lunches and dinners and got to know one another. And it ended up we had a lot of things in common, had a lot of fun together. And he was like, "Hey, where do you live?" And he'd start coming over to my house. And then, long story short, he got an apartment in the same building as me, and we were pretty much inseparable since then. So I spent a lot of the early time. It was just me and him when his family wasn't here, and so he was like my little brother. And
Mm.
fortunately, just given how strong our relationship was and what a genuine person he is, that's never really faded. And despite all his success and fame, we're still close to this day.
Oh, that's cool that you still
Yeah.
maintain that. Ross, I
Yeah.
was going to ask you, there's early reports. I remember reading back then when he was a rookie or in his first year that he would walk to practice and like he would hitch a ride or something. Some like
Oh, that
fans would
happened
offer.
once. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that true? I always wondered if that
That
story
is
was true.
that is true. So I would say 99% of the time I would take him to games. On the days I was unavailable, it would be Nate Walters, who was our second round pick that year, that
Yes, I
would take him.
remember.
But this particular day, Miroslav Raduljic, I don't know if you remember him. He was like a backup big that we had.
Yes.
He was buying a Mini Cooper from the car dealership, and he had just worked out a deal with the car dealer, and he was about to sign the paperwork, and he
Uh-huh.
he wasn't very trustworthy of the process, or just wanted a second set of eyes to look over the paperwork. So he had
Yeah.
actually called me and said, "Hey Ross, can you meet me at the car dealership and just look at the paperwork and the terms to make sure there's nothing crazy in here?" So I met Miroslav at the car dealership, and I was probably running like 10 to 15 minutes late to getting Giannis to our typical scheduled time to go to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him as soon as I left the car dealership, and Miroslav drove off in his brand new Mini Cooper. And I was like, "Hey, I'm running a little bit behind." Went straight to voicemail. And lo and behold, he was already at Western Union trying to transfer funds back to his family because we had just gotten paid.
Mm.
And next thing I know, I get to the arena, and he's telling me, "Yeah, some nice lady gave me a ride. I was running to the arena from the Western Union station, and some fan noticed me and gave me a ride." And so the next day, me, John Hammond, John Horst, and a couple of the other people had a nice long conversation with Giannis about how that's not a safe or smart thing to do. So fortunately, that one was a very nice Milwaukee resident that was just looking out for him, but
Yeah.
thankfully that only happened once.
Amazing, amazing stories and what you've become and what he's become. I mean, I'm sure you're proud of it that you sort of were there for the beginning, especially adjusting to a new country and
Sure.
everything new
Yep.
to him. I'm sure that's always going to kind of stick. And no wonder you guys have a bond. And it's super
Yeah.
cool that it's maintained. I'm not surprised at all, Ross, because the guy that Giannis seems to be, it just seems to be a genuine individual. No matter what, nothing's going to change him. And to maintain that bond with you, it's really cool that he's done that.
Yeah, and it's crazy to look back on those days, or even go to games now, right? Like I live in Phoenix, so I'll always
Hmm.
go to the games when Milwaukee's in town, and even just in Phoenix, seeing the amount of people wearing his jersey shirts or jerseys, or having Greek Freak Nikes and things of that nature, still to this day, it's surreal for me because we used to leave the Bradley Center after games that rookie year, and it'd be hard for me to find a place to take him to eat because he was not of legal drinking age, and most of these places were bars. So
Yeah.
like I'd always try to go to like Bar Louie because they would have like a back room and they'd serve us burgers downtown. But outside of that, like everything else was like a bar, and it was bar time, and like bouncers would look at me and like, "Where's his ID?" I'm like, "He's not from here. He plays for the Buck." And they wouldn't care. But now it's like he's got murals, and he's
Got a
obviously
Greek restaurant across from the stadium.
yeah, yes. It's just crazy how far things have come, and couldn't be happier for him, more happy for him because he definitely deserved every bit of this. He worked extremely hard, and he's a special person for sure.
No doubt about it. And you can tell, I mean, just that physical transformation. People that might don't remember, take a look at his rookie pictures. He was
Yeah,
like a string bean, and then he became this like ripped, just absolutely workout freak, too.
yeah. Yep. I remember one story in particular. I went back to Milwaukee. Um, I was in Chicago and I was going to go down to Summerfest to catch some music, but I
Hmm.
went down a little early so I could catch up with some of my friends over at the Bucks, John Horst, Dave Dean, some of the people that were going to be in the building. And I got to the facility, and I was actually under the assumption that Giannis was back in Greece during this time of the summer. So
Hmm.
I walk in there, and he's actually on the court putting up shots with Sean Sweeney. And he sees me through the window, and he did like a double take, and he's like, "Oh, is that really you?" And so he finished his workout with Coach Sweeney, and after he was done, he came up and he had this grocery bag filled with Ziploc containers And I
Wow.
had never seen this from him ever before. And he goes, "Let me walk you through what I have here." And he was like, "This is six different like snacks or meals." And he was taking me through, these are the carbs, these are the proteins, these are my fruits for sugars. And he's like, "I've been doing this now for 2 months, and I've been lifting in the gym." And at that time, I was working for the Phoenix Suns, but I got back to Phoenix, and I think it was Ryan McDonough at the time, our general manager,
Hmm.
was like, "Hey, did you happen to see Giannis this summer? I heard he got much bigger." And I told him that story, and he's like, he's probably going to be a problem." And I was like, I've been telling you ever since I got there. I was telling the coaching staff and whatnot, like, just you wait, 2 to 3 years from now, this guy's going to be a, a problem for us to try to game plan against." And yeah, he was just level focused on improvement, and was like a sponge, talking to not only the coaching staff on the basketball court, but the trainers and the dietitians and things of that nature. And yeah, all his hard work and dedication and discipline paid off for sure.
For sure did. The transformation of Giannis, the league is transforming. Ross, I mean, it's been
Yeah,
crazy how over the last few years, there's sort of parity. The NBA was never known for parity. It was always like these are the 8 teams that are making it. This is probably the 4 or 5 teams that could make it to the finals, and that's it. This is now a league of parity last couple years. I mean, the Indiana's coming out, and just also the finals we didn't even expect in any way. It's been a league of parity, and now coming into this year, you have some major changes. No Dame Lillard, no Tyrese Halliburton. No Jason Tatum. I mean, some of the biggest stars of the league are out too. That's going to add more parity because of these
yeah.
expected teams on the upswing. This is going to be another insane year, right, Ross? And don't you get that feeling that there's going to be some teams we don't expect are going to be like in the conference finals?
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some surprising teams out there, and it's certainly a time of like the changing of the guards. And I think our preview of that was Team USA, right, where we had Curry, Durant, and LeBron. That was their final ride
Yeah.
representing our country in the Olympic play. And we're kind of seeing them fade a little bit now into the sunset, and we've got these new stars that are on the horizon and about ready to take over. So. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
there's definitely going to be some surprise teams out there, and I think that makes it for so much more fun, right? I mean, the less predictable the NBA can be, the better off it is for viewership, in my opinion.
100%. So speaking of that, I mean, do you have some I propose a little sort of a pick 'em, for this season.
Yeah.
What do you see sort of as the dark horses of this season, teams that we're not really expecting about or talking about that could really come out of nowhere and make a run, sort of like maybe Indiana did last year, who do you see as sort of the surprise teams in the East or West? If there's one team or if you have a couple, any come to mind?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I mean, there's some big teams that we already talk about a lot. Like I
Hmm.
think that the Denver Nuggets will be back in the conversation again
Yep.
as a team. Of course, I could talk about the Spurs and Wemby, but everybody else is doing that. But they certainly have a nice balance between veterans and young rising stars. Not just Wemby, but the Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper looks good.
Hmm.
So I don't want to spend too much time with that. I think some of the other teams that I look at that could be problems is the Detroit Pistons. I know a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people are writing them off, saying, "Oh, they went from bad to good, but I don't know if they can get to great in just one more season." I think they've got a lot of different trade chips that they could look at, and if they're in the running for like a top four position out east next year to host a first round series, I could see them making a big trade at the deadline for a guy like Lauri Markkanen from the Utah Jazz. I mean, there
Hmm.
are some teams out there that are probably going to be in the tank this year once again, and I could see Detroit, moving some assets to go ahead and get a big time player like a Markkanen. And if they were to add a Markkanen with a Cade Cunningham, a
Ooh.
healthy Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, and Asar Thompson, I think Asar Thompson is a dark horse player this year. I mean, everyone's talking about his brother in Houston,
Yeah.
especially now that Fred VanVleet's down. But let's not sleep on Asar. Asar is right there as far as defensive strengths are concerned. He's athletic, and he doesn't handle the ball as well, but he cuts off the ball just as well, if not better. And he's got the passer in Cade Cunningham, who demands a lot of attention. So
Right.
lots of lots of interesting dynamics with Asar Thompson's game, and our old friend who was a former Bucks draft pick when I was there, Tobias Harris.
Oh,
I
he,
mean,
he keeps on going, man.
yeah, he keeps on going, and yeah, like there's a little disrespect that he's gotten from his time in Philly, but he's still a solid player, especially if he's your third or fourth option scoring the basketball. I mean, that's a luxury to have a guy like Tobias that can fill it up on any given night when asked to. So I think Detroit's got a lot of good things going for them, and
Mhm.
I think they're a dark horse out east. Now, if I'm focused out west. That one's a little bit tougher for me. The one team that I don't think, I mean, everyone's talking about the Rockets with KD.
Right.
Everyone's talking about kind of the Clippers with just the amount of old star power that they
They
have.
could be boomer or bust, Ross. I think they could
Yeah,
be either miss the playoffs potentially if it
yeah.
goes haywire with Kawhi and everything, or they could make it to the conference finals.
I like them. I think they have enough depth to
Uh-huh.
where they can kind of fill these roles. They have insurance policies off that bench that can really fill in. Brooke Lopez, I think, adds a different dimension to this
Yes.
team with his ability to stretch the floor, shoot threes, still block shots, and that's a nice backup for Zubac to kind of keep Zoo healthy throughout the season, kind of limit his usage throughout the course of the season. So definitely keep an eye on the Clippers. I think they're going to be the better of the two LA teams this year.
Mm.
And that's one of my bold predictions. And then the other one that's odd to me is no one's really talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I think we oftentimes forget like they're returning the same team,
Yeah.
but they're doing it this year after everybody got contract extensions. Everyone got rewarded. Julius Randle got his extension. Naz Reid stayed there and got an extension. And this is going to be a season where they had a full offseason to kind of digest all the happenings from the year prior, where of course they made that curveball trade right before the start of the season, sending Karl Towns to New York and
Hmm.
getting DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. So I feel like they've had enough time to kind of regroup, get on the same page, and they're rolling back quite a lineup. If you would ask me, I think one of my bold predictions on 48 Minutes earlier this year is he's not my MVP pick, but if I had to pick anyone from one American to win the MVP and break the cycle of international stars winning Most Valuable Player, it's Anthony Edwards, and it could be as soon as this year because he is totally capable of blowing us away and putting the himself and his team, the Timberwolves, in a really solid position to knock off an Oklahoma City Thunder or a Denver Nuggets team that I think will be up there as well. So don't sleep on the Wolves. I think we haven't been talking about them enough for how good they were at the end of last season and just how good their overall roster is veteran wise.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. My sort of sleepers, I kind of like New Orleans. I think
Do
maybe
you?
they've gotten
Okay.
to Zion finally with Joe Dumars. I think he looks better now. If there was ever a time to see him fully maybe committed, it might be now. Trey
Okay.
Murphy, I mean, they got pieces out in New Orleans too. I kind of like what they might, now they're flying under the radar, I feel like completely. Nothing's expected of him. I think this might be the year that they sort of get back into playoffs and maybe make a little bit of noise. For the Western Conference team, do you see anything for them or no?
I'm not a big buyer in on Jordan Poole. And it sounds like I
True.
mean
I mean, yeah.
if you think they're going to have success, Jordan Poole is going to be a huge factor in that, in my opinion, because I don't think Jeremiah Fears, their I think seventh overall pick in this past year's draft, is
Yeah.
going to be quite ready. I think he's 18. He's like the one of the younger draft picks in this class.
They
So,
got two first round picks. Derek Queen, I mean, I think
but
he's
he's
ready to
hurt.
go.
He's hurt though, so
Yeah.
he's going to be out for a couple months. And then Kevon Looney, who they brought over, who I like that addition, Jim. He just came out with an injury too, so he's going to miss the start of the season.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I think
But
you've
it's
got a
Zion.
shot. If
You
Zion
think,
stays healthy,
yeah,
big if though. It's almost like the Joel
it
Embiid
is.
situation
It
with Philly.
is. It's tough because speaking of my most sort of disappointing things, I think we're going to jump into that. I don't know what to expect of Philadelphia. Are they supposed to be good back again or not? Do we have low expectations for them or not? Because I'm really tough on gauging what Philadelphia is at this point, and obviously the health is the main thing. But is the pressure off of them, you think, this season or no?
I don't think the pressure's off of them because they are a Philadelphia team, and Philly
Yeah.
fans have high expectations always, especially when you're paying superstars the amount of money they're shelling out to these guys on their team. But I think with this team, you're either a believer or you're not. There's really no middle ground. I'm not a believer because I just can't buy into uh, trusting Joel Embiid's health. But I
Hmm.
do gotta say, I like the depth of this team. I mean, you look at Quentin Grimes. He was looking for a big payday in the free agency market this year. He didn't get it. He's coming back as a unrestricted free agent next year, so he's got a lot to play for. They fell into some luck on the lottery and got VJ Edgecombe. They moved
Yeah.
up and were able to get him. He looked great. I was only able to catch the Abu Dhabi games against the Knicks, but he definitely flashed a ton of
He's a
interesting
plug and play
potential.
kind of guy. I think he's ready from
Yeah.
day one to play big minutes.
Yep. And then obviously Tyrese Maxey, when he's healthy, he's one of the top, he's definitely in that top half of point
Hmm.
guards in the NBA. And then off the bench, I mean, they still got veterans. Eric Gordon, he can still shoot the ball. Kyle
Yeah.
Lowry, getting old, but he has some veteran experience. And Kelly Oubre, I think, is a guy that played extremely well for this team last year. He was one of the bright spots. Now he's coming off your bench, and he can play the 3 or the 4 position as a small ball 4. And then Jared McCain, let's not forget, he was probably the
Oh
front
yeah.
runner for Rookie of the Year last year. And then he unfortunately got hurt. He should be back healthy this season. So there's lots to play with for Coach Nick Nurse, who is regarded as a very creative coach. So I'm not counting them out. I just, again, if I had to be on one side of the fence, I'm going to be on the non-believer side because I just don't think Joel Embiid can play more than 50 games max.
Agreed. Do you think that I know everyone's been talking about, oh, Giannis, is he getting traded and not? I don't think that's going to happen until
No.
the end of the year. Like I spoke with Bruce too. I think he lets
Yeah.
this year go through no matter what, see how they finish off the season and then maybe an off season. I have a feeling come trade deadline, I think Embiid could be dangled there, and there's a possibility of him getting traded. I think he's wearing thin, not only on Philadelphia, the town, but I
Mhm.
think on this team with Maxi sort of been calling him out over the last year. I think their patience has worn out with him. If someone's willing to give up something decent, like a
Mhm.
team that's in contention, I wouldn't be shocked if they moved him during the trade deadline. We've seen big deals now during the trade deadline.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there. I could definitely see if the season's not going well for
Hmm.
Joel or for the team or even just his relationship with the team, I wouldn't rule that out one bit. I think if there was a team out there willing to take the gamble on the services and talents of Joel Embiid and they're willing to give something back, I think that's something Philly's definitely got to entertain for sure.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I would definitely keep a left eye out on that to see whether or not we could see that developing down the road. But you mentioned Giannis, and I think the thing that people don't understand with like all these trade rumors too is like even if he ever comes to the decision to leave Milwaukee, that's not going to be an easy one for him.
No.
He's got so much love and respect for not just the city, the fans, but the front office and the guys that were there with him from the very beginning, the teammates and all the history that he has within the franchise. Like that's not going to come easy, and that's not something he's just gonna, have a quick impulsive reaction to of like, I want to be traded. That's going to take a lot of thought and a lot of courage for him to maybe potentially reach that point. So I don't see a trade happening with Giannis this season at all. I think he certainly wants to ride this out with his teammates. And look, I mean, if you see all the press that we're able to see within the team and even his body language with his teammates, like he loves this group of guys. He loves his teammates on this roster, and he wants to give them the benefit of the doubt and be someone that lifts them up as a leader and not a guy that doesn't believe or and doesn't think that they can't help him reach the goals that he has in mind for the team and himself.
So I think you're spot on with that one. The fun part, when we come to an end of this, conference finals and
Ooh.
finals. Who do you got for the predictions for the conference finals and the finals?
Yeah, so you said obviously there could be some changes this year, and
Hmm.
I'm right there with you. So in the Western Conference Finals, I've got a Nuggets Thunder rematch. I think
Okay.
the Nuggets will be either the best team in the league this year or the second best. I think there's no debate that they had the best offseason in my opinion. I mean, they're big. um, downfall last year is they didn't have perimeter shooting. Well, they went out and got Cam Johnson, one of, if not the best perimeter shooter off the ball in the game from
Yes.
Brooklyn. And then, of course, Tim Hardaway Jr., a little bit more streaky, but still a shooter. And certainly a guy that can handle the ball a little bit. And when I mean handle, it's literally take 5 to 6 dribbles max, bringing it up. And then, of course, hit Joker at the top of the key and let Joker play quarterback. So, I think if they have the depth around the Joker and the guard play to really work things out much differently than last year. And this was a Nuggets team that fell just one game short of actually knocking the Thunder out in the playoffs
Yes.
last year.
They play him really tough always, no matter what. And they have a better squad this time around.
Yep, and Bruce Brown's back. He obviously has familiarity winning a championship with Joker and Murray in the past, so I think he could be a positive contributor off that bench as well. And then with the Thunder, of course, they're just going to keep getting better. They're so young. They have so many assets to work with if they have to, fill a void due to an unfortunate injury. I really like the Hartenstein acquisition last year. I mean, that paid off big time for them.
Hmm.
They're getting Nikola Topic this year that can help them with the guard play, and it
He
just
was a
seems
big
like
prospect coming out. He was a really good European player.
so the rich just kind of get richer with the Thunder, kind of with what they have going on there. So I think that'd be a fun series out west. And then in the East, I've got the Knicks and the Cavs. I think the Cavaliers really learned their lesson this past year, obviously having the best record in the Eastern Conference during the regular season and then an unfortunate exit in the playoffs. I think they're geared up, ready to go. I know that they lost Ty Jerome, but I think adding Lonzo Ball, who's going to not have as much expected of him. I mean, if that guy plays 10 to 15 minutes a night some nights, just make those 10 to 15 minutes count. DeAndre Hunter's here for a full season now. Evan Mobley had another year of development. They have a lot of things that I think can propel them right back into an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. And then the New York Knicks, I think they actually got better by moving on from Tom Thibodeau and adding Mike Brown because Mike Brown's going to expand that rotation. He's going to give more guys chances and opportunities to contribute. And I think in the long haul, that's going to keep, of course, the starters a little fresher for playoff time. And so, and I like the moves the Knicks made. Ubaselli was a great pickup. Jordan Clarkson was a big pickup.
Hmm.
And Mitchell Robinson's back healthy, and hopefully he can stay that way. So that should be a fun series if my predictions go right in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I have a Nuggets Knicks matchup for the NBA Finals. It's like the Carmelo Anthony Finals.
Right, the ghosts of Carmel.
Yeah.
Ross, I had the same finals. I just had different
Did you really?
conference. Yes. I,
Okay.
I had the same finals. I had out west. I feel it's good. I don't like that Fred VanVleet's not going to be there for the Rockets, but I think they're going to find a replacement. I have the
Yeah.
Rockets and Nuggets in the conference finals, and I have the Nuggets moving on. And in the East, I have the Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. I think the
Ooh.
Atlanta Hawks are stacked.
Yeah.
They've been close. They're really deep. Their bench is super good. Dyson Daniels, I mean, they got a great coach. I think Porzingis, if he stays healthy, is going to help him in this wide open East. I think they can be that sort of Indiana Pacers of last year. But I have the Knicks moving on. So yeah, I think the Knicks Nuggets, and I think the Knicks finally do it.
Yeah.
I could see Jalen Brunson even winning MVP. Also, I think
Okay.
Ant is a great choice, but I could see if the Knicks have a great record, sort of thing. Jalen Brunson getting that MVP. And I think the Knicks are going to finally do it. Like, I agree. The move from Mike Brown, I think being in Chicago and seeing those old Bulls teams where Tom Thibodeau would just run Jimmy Butler and Luol Deng to the ground 40 minutes a night in the regular season, in February, it just, they were gassed. You could tell
Yeah.
in that Indiana series. That was what got to him. Indiana was running circles around him because they didn't have the energy. And I think Mike Brown is a winner. Everywhere he's gone, he's won, really, right?
Yeah, he has. And I think he's a guy that's been in pressure situations before. He's coached LeBron, he's coached Kobe. He's been with
Yeah.
those organizations when a lot was expected of those teams. Now, did it always go the way he wanted it to? Of course not. But I don't think he's fearful of the Madison Square Garden spotlight and the pressure and expectations that this team has, nor do the players. I think there's a really great cohesion amongst that Knicks core. Of course, you got the Villanova connection, but just that team in general seems to have a really good camaraderie. And I know that Mike Brown's a guy that from his past stops only helps grow camaraderie amongst the team and trust and communication. And so if everybody is on the same page and Mike Brown trusts them and they trust Mike, I think only good things are going to come from that partnership.
I think so. And if they can't capitalize this year with a weekend East without Boston, without
Ah,
Indiana being
yeah,
factors, that might be their only shot in that case. So, man, I love that we agreed on it. It's crazy how we sort of
yeah.
took not the common thing. I think OKC would be an easy pick and whatnot, but okay, it might happen in that case. Ross, this was so much fun. Thanks for coming on. Tell people where they can check out your podcast, your work, in case follow you on social. Give it give it to them all now.
Absolutely. So you can find me as the host of the 48 Minutes podcast on the BLEAV network. We do 1 to 2 shows a week. Next week, we're having a really fun show Monday night, the night before opening night. We're having Tim Legler on the show,
Oh,
and
sweet.
so
Wow.
he's going to be talking to us about
The voice of the finals now, right?
goes to the finals. Yeah, he just got promoted to the finals crew, which is a huge opportunity. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about this new segment that he reportedly did with all 30 coaches around the league. I don't know if you've seen some of those leaked. He did one with Doc Rivers already that's kind of
Oh,
come out. And he's done one with Mike Brown that's already come out. So want to pick his brain about how that experience was going from coach to coach, talking plays and X's and O's, and what really stood out from that. And then of course just pick his brain on the NBA season overview as you just did with me.
yeah.
To hear what Legs has to say is going to be pretty epic. So excited about that. So check us out on the 48 Minutes podcast. And as for my socials, the easiest way to find me is on Twitter, and that is at Ross Geiger, RossGeiger. And typically, I'm always on League Pass watching games, and every so often I'll tweet out my thoughts. So encourage people to follow me and obviously clap back with some comments every so often.
There you go. Well said. Great podcast you guys have. Big fan of Bruce and you,
Oh,
and
thanks, Jim.
I'm tuned in to you guys too. So this is really cool. Thanks so much for your time. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Hope we can do it again.
Yeah, this would be fun. More than happy to come on anytime with the Jim. And one last thing that we can agree on, go Bucks.